Hello friends, happy Thursday edition of Dub Life. I'm obviously home, but I'm not home right now. It is Tuesday. I am in Puerto Vallarta at the Grand Velas Resort. And I know this is not a very interesting backdrop, but just over there is everything in the world you want. You want to see? It's fantastic. I really think you're going to enjoy the Dub Life episode from here. It's going to be a very long episode. I have filmed a ton of stuff, but I haven't edited one thing. I've hardly looked at anything. Posted a few things here and there on Facebook and Instagram, but I got a bunch of footage, and I really want to turn it all into a great big video because this is an important week for me, and I want to be able to capture it. So it'll be a couple weeks away. It's probably going to take me 4, 5, 6 days to edit all of this together. But you'll have your number of videos until then. But I just felt compelled that I wanted to record one episode of Daily Dub here in Mexico. And because there's a lot I want to talk about here. And the subject is gratitude. You have to excuse me. I'm going to be drinking some squirting it. And I am going to look at my phone because I'm going to try really hard to talk about everything that I wanted to talk about across this. So, topic for today is gratitude, and I have a lot of gratitude, and this week is very symbolic for me because it's kind of the end of a weird chapter of my life, so to speak. And so it was in 2011 when I changed careers. That was way back in May as the school year was ending. And I had to find something else to do. Coming off being a teacher and all the things you know, I didn't have any money at all saved up. I was currently living in a single wide trailer. I had no, we didn't even have heat in that trailer. We couldn't afford it. So life was very different for me then. Changing careers, I had my master's, and I was finishing up all of that stuff. And I needed to make a change in my life for a variety of reasons, and that change ultimately became joining the organization that has sent me here. But there are so many people along the way that I am grateful to, some of which you've met, many of which you have not, and probably never will, because they may not want to be on camera or whatever, but I have a much larger circle than the folks you see in it. And I just kind of wanted to tell you a story so I could talk about my gratitude for folks, but also maybe encourage you that things could be different for you. So it all started, I had to move out of that trailer. I needed to be out of there very quickly. And Victoria, and then my friend Robert and his buddies Rod and Bronson. Robert is a guy I'm still close to, still friends with. I just don't see as often as I'd like. When I'm in his hometown during the holidays, I see him. He's came to visit me before in Atlanta. He's got a couple kids. He's busy. He's also a teacher, so he stays busy, doesn't have a lot of holidays. But they all came and helped me move, and we had to pack things up and get things on a truck and get out of there all in one day. And Victoria as well. Victoria has packed up my collection several times on several different moves, and is very meticulous and is proper. There's obviously all kinds of things that almost everybody I'm going to tell you I could thank for. But I just want to give you one specific thing for everybody. But grateful to Victoria for that. But we had to pack and get things out of there. And you know where I was moving? Mom's couch. That's where I was moving. I had nowhere. I had nowhere to go. I did not have a job. I knew I wanted to change careers. I knew I needed to get a job. I didn't have any income. I didn't have any money. I just knew I needed to make a change. And I needed to take that chance to make a change. So I moved back home in with my parents. This is 2011. I was 29 years old, I believe, 30 years old, about to turn, and I needed to do something different. And that's what I decided to do. There's my buddy Eric over there. So I made a change. And that was a hard decision to make. That was hard. And to be able to do that and to take the chance on that and to bet on yourself is not easy for a lot of us. But my parents didn't have money. They didn't have anything to take care of me. They said, you can stay here and eat the food we're going to cook anyway. But in terms of finances, you know, they weren't, there was no silver spoon situation whatsoever. So grateful to my parents that they gave me a safety net, a place to go and try to start over. And it took several months. That was in May. It was not until July that I moved to Atlanta, where I moved in with my older sister Kimberly, who you've met, and Mike, her husband, who you've met. And I lived on their couch for a period of time. And I didn't have any money for them either. I had to offer, I'd help cook, clean up the house, things like that, in exchange for a place to stay, which is what I did. And all this, the whole time, trying to find a job. And this time I had a master's degree, I had an undergraduate degree, I had graduated highest honors in college, but I didn't have any business experience, so I had to find somebody that would take a chance on me. It takes several months. We get into August, and Mike got me a job in our company, the company I work for now that he used to work for. And it was certainly not a luxurious job. I was pushing a mail cart making $11 an hour. That was where I was at, and I was, it was a month before I turned 30 years old. And things were not going the way I had intended when I decided I was going to change careers. But I was committed that I could work my way up through an organization and prove myself to a company. I always have bet on myself. I always believe in myself. I guess that's the athletic nature in me and the coach, and thinking that I can do it. So very grateful to Kim and Mike for the place to live. World's grateful to Mike for giving me, helping me get the opportunity, referring me to our organization. And that was a big transition. During this time, I had to give up some friends. I was making some changes that people didn't like. I was doing some things differently than people were used to knowing me for. And I also just had to cut some of the fat, get some folks out of my life that weren't good influences, weren't the people I needed to spend time with, were negative people, or were pessimistic all the time, or whatever. And I didn't have room for that. I don't do people that talk negative all the time or always want to talk about bad things. I can't do it. It's not the way I'm going to choose to live my life. This does kind of look like I have an egg on my head. But so I had to get rid of some people. But there were some folks that stuck around. You've met Steve, his wife Kristen, known Steve forever. He was invaluable during this time and always there by my side, always supporting me, always being my friend, and helping me through tough times and encouraging me. Same for Drew, who you've met, and his wife Melissa. He is probably the only friend from that group, when I say I had to cut the fat, that remained. Most of our common group of friends, I'm not friends with and I haven't talked to in 8 or 9, 10 years. They just weren't good influences in our life. And that included the best man in my wedding to my wife. I'm now divorced. But that's not a person in my life anymore. It wasn't a positive influence, and I had to make some changes. And you got to make changes sometimes. Grateful to those people. So that story becomes a lot more complicated, but we'll talk first. As I come to Atlanta, I lived in a different place in Georgia for most of my life. There were so many people that made me feel welcome. Damien, who you've met, Nicole, his wife, a bunch of these people you've not met, John, Megan, Jenna, Lee, and Andrew, and Duncan, and Amy, and Joe, and Jenny, and Peter, and Eric, so many more. Sorry if you're watching this and I didn't say your name. Duncan, I don't know if I said Duncan. Scores more. I have such a large friend circle in Atlanta that were there for me right away, that I've known for 10 years or so, and embraced me and accepted me. There were folks that were friends of Kim and Mike's, and we're all friends. And then there's folks that like Doc and Den and Rob and John and folks all over the country that come in for Dragon Con. A lot of this is based around our group of friends from Dragon Con and other nerd stuff. And they've just always been there for me. So I'm incredibly grateful for them. I see them a lot. Like if you saw my New Year's Eve episode of Dub Life, you saw some of those folks. We were at a party with them. They're not usually on my camera because I only see them 6 or 8 times a year. But I love those folks, and they meant a lot to me. And then I have a great deal of gratitude for my organization. So the very first people that hired me, the people that Mike referred me to, gave me an opportunity. Within a month, I had a different position, maybe more like 2 months. I had a different position that paid me $1 an hour more, making $12 an hour. And I had to move to a different site in Atlanta and be a supervisor. And within 3 months, I had been offered a job to move to Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, that would pay me $4 or $5 an hour more. I'd never been to Birmingham, Alabama. I had to completely move away from the relationship I had, family and friends, to no one. And, you know, again, I wanted to bet on myself, and I felt like if the organization was going to keep giving me promotions and I kept taking them, that eventually they'd honor that, and I'd find my way back home. So that's what I did. I took the job, moved to Birmingham, Alabama, and at that point I had an incredible men's group through the church I was going to that really was just a fantastic group of people, really helped me grow as a person, helped me to live more positively, helped me to look for the good in other people more, be more compassionate. I spent a lot of time working in with those less fortunate charities, things like that. And I lived in Alabama for like 2.5 years. 2.5 years, and then another opportunity came, and now we're getting into like late 2013, and I was offered the opportunity to move to Oklahoma City for work, and this was a pretty big promotion. It would almost double my salary, and move me to another higher level. During this time, I don't want to give an incorrect interpretation. I was busting my butt. I was working incredibly hard. I had a dual undergraduate degree. I had a highest honors master's degree in business. I had achieved multiple certifications. Currently, I'm a project management professional, certified PMP person. That is an incredibly difficult test to take, and the hardest thing I've ever done. I have a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt. I have a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. There's a number of softwares that I'm certified in, along with my degrees and various other trainings. So I don't want to put off the wrong impression. I was certainly doing my part. My company, which was arbitrarily moving me around. I have a great deal of education that made a lot of this possible. So they moved me to Oklahoma City. This was in late 2013. I was there for 1 year. And again, I'm moving to a new place. Don't know anybody. The guys in Alabama, Bobby and Tom and Ryan, just fantastic guys. And Church of the Highlands was the church I was at. Highly recommend that to you if you're looking for a church life there. Wonderful, wonderful place. I go to Oklahoma City. At that point, again, don't know anybody, and I had to meet new people. I met some very dear friends of mine, Morgan and Miranda, that I work with. We've taken trips together. I have not seen them in a couple years, but they even came to my parents' house for Thanksgiving and had Mama cook them Thanksgiving supper. We had a great time. Enoch was there, a very good friend who I still talk to, every week. And I was working that project in Oklahoma City. And while I'm on the topic of this bouncing around, I'm very grateful, as is the topic of this, to the people at that point. That was one guy who is still in our organization that kept promoting me through those several promotions, including one more. And he is a director in our organization. He's out of the Midwest, and that's who I worked for most of the time. So I'm very grateful to him because he kept believing in me and kept giving me opportunities. Overarching all that is our chief operating officer. I'm here with him this week. I see him quite a bit, and he has always believed in me, and I'm grateful to him as well. So I was in Oklahoma City just a year, and then a new opportunity came up, and I moved back to Atlanta to start working as a project manager at a different account. And in that period of time, my boss then, who gave me that promotion, I'm very grateful for, also founded a startup company, and I helped found that with him. I actually hold equity in a startup company out of the West Coast that works in medical technologies. And I'm not involved in the company anymore. I spent 2 years helping launch it, and then it's too much with what my job is. As you know how busy I am. I had to step back and resign from a position, but I still hold equity in that company. And he gave me the opportunity to move back to Atlanta, but I had been promised all along I'd get back to Atlanta. And again, I moved right back in with Kim and Mike because I didn't have a place to live. Even though I had a much better income, I didn't have anywhere to live. And that's when I built my house. I started building my house. And it took 3 months for it to build. I spec'd it out. We built it. And then I moved in there. So again, Kim and Mike took care of me, kept me helpful. As I was moving in, St. Victoria came Steve, Kim and Mike. Everybody spent so much time helping me move, helping me get set up, pick things out, all of that. That was just wonderful. It was only 5 months from taking that job that I got promoted and I became the account manager of that account. And that's when I started working for who my boss is now. And that was in 2015. It was in 2015. And I spent almost 3 years in that role. And I was a very good role. Each year I was given raises, treated very, very fairly. I was managing one of the top 5 account in our organization, and making a lot more than $11 an hour. And then just last year in March of 2018, I was given the opportunity to manage the biggest in our company, the biggest account, by my boss and our COO again. And that changed everything for me. I started traveling all over the place. I traveled in some of those previous roles, but not near to this extent. And it's been a wild ride over the last year, being all over the place. And the other thing that's happened in the last year, I have a bunch of new Atlanta friends. James, I've known James for more than a year, about two and a half years. But David and Adonis, I've only met about a year ago. So those 3 guys are very close friends of mine. I've only just got to know them, and I'm grateful to them. They give me laughs, they give me support. We can always go have lunch. We can also talk about serious stuff, relationship issues, whatever the case may be. And I'm very, very grateful to them for the relationships I have in my life. I mean, you guys see the relationship I have with David. We're like brothers. And they're brand new people as I've come back to Atlanta. And then also in the last year, I really kicked up the YouTube stuff. My YouTube channel, I think, its original date is like 10 years ago. I used to just randomly post nonsense on there. I've taken all that away. We talked about that before. But I really started publishing to YouTube in Thanksgiving of 2017 when I got my drone. And I just did drone stuff for a few months, and then I started to go into the vlogs and toy hunts and things like that in early 2018. And so in the last year, I've met in person some of the in IRL, in real life YouTube friends, people I've met. Got a fantastic relationship with Josh. We've had a lot of good laughs, a lot of trips together, a lot of memories. I love to hang out with Billy, and when I'm in Ohio, we get to hang out. Cody and Andrew, Chris, David, a lot of these folks that I've met in person, we've spent time together, we've done a lot of things. I know there's others of you, and I'm sorry if I didn't list your name. But then there's also just the YouTube family that I'm talking to right now, who I haven't met, who I interact with in the comments on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever, and I'm grateful for all of you too, because it's a lonely road when you're traveling all the time, you're by yourself. Right now, I'm about to go back on that lonely road by myself, and you know, I had a lot of people travel with me for a while, so this is different. Gotta get back into it. But the reason I wanted to record this and thank all the people, including you watching right now, is that itself, that story I just told you that started in 2011, moving out of a single wide trailer with no heat, with zero, literally zero in the bank account, no income, for several months having to mooch off my family, to where I am today is one story. I'm going to leave this place in Mexico because now I got to the top. I am at the highest award that you can win in the organization, managing the #1 account in the organization. And I was able to achieve success. I bet on myself and believed in myself. And I can bet on myself because of the people that are around me that I just mentioned. I believe in all of you. And so now things are different. I'm at a new level. I've got some aspirations in this organization. I'd really like to be even higher one day. But things are stable now, and they're going to stay stable. And they're going to start to evolve in a different way. And there's going to be some other relationships that maybe I didn't mention that could enter the picture, or whatever the case may be. You know, there's a lot of people in my life that I don't talk about too terribly much on here, or even at all. And, you know, things are just going to change. And I want everyone to know that I'm grateful. I don't mean this channel is going to change. That's not this type of video. Nothing's going to change anybody concerns about. I mean, in me, the way I look at things, the way I hear things, the way I receive things. I'm not pursuing this destination anymore. I got here. And so now I have to motivate myself for the next thing. And it was important for me to memorialize this. You're my friends that I get to talk to every day. And I wanted to memorialize it for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video on gratitude. You can hear the birds chirping. You can hear the ocean, the waves. This is paradise. If you can ever get out here, I would recommend it. I talked to Josh some today. I was talking to some other folks. You know, maybe I won't spend as much on figures, and I'll save money to come to more of this, because this has been an unbelievable week. One of the greatest weeks of my life, and I'm not here with any friends or family. It's all work people. Now, work people I get along great with, but it's not my friends and family. And I'm a believer. It's not what you're doing, it's who you're doing it with. And if this is so fantastic when I don't have the who that I really want, I can only imagine what it would be like. So, I believe in memories and investing money in memories. So, anyway, all that to say, thank you. All those I named, all those I didn't name. I hope you're enjoying Daily Dubs. Tomorrow, I'll be back live. I'll be home. It'll be Friday. And I'll catch you up on the trip, tell you about it. That's what the Daily Dub will be. And then we'll keep going from there. I hope you've all had a great week. I'll talk to you soon. Did you hear what it said? Yeah. It said squeeze it.